Hi everyone, welcome. Today we are going to thread a sewing machine. Okay, so once again, my model is the Singer Heavy Duty Classic 44S. This particular model has a lot of little guidelines, give you some hints as to how to thread it. So I'm gonna make a point to point out where our little tricks and our tips are. And I'm sure that you know the parts of your sewing machine, because if you have a machine like this one or similar, if it's your first time sewing, you should go over the parts in your instruction manual just so you get familiar with them, okay? But as I thread, I am going to name the parts that I'm threading. Now, what do you need to get this done? You need, of course, thread, spool of thread. You need a filled bobbin. Okay, if you're not sure how to fill your bobbin, I have a video on that, so you can refer to that. Okay, and you need sewing scissors or fabric cutting shears. These are fabric cutting shears. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, we are going to first put our spool of thread on the spool pin. I'm using my vertical spool pin. Okay, then you're going to move to your top thread guides. There's number 1 here, so this is your first part to thread. You have to hook it through that little part, okay? You'll hear your thread, a little sound your thread will make when it's getting threaded properly in that first part. Then you have to hook your thread through the second part, and you're going down in this groove here. These are your tension discs in here. Make sure your thread is tight and secure. That's your third part to thread. Then there's a little hook here illustrated. That's your fourth movement. So you're going to follow the movement with your thread. Hook it up, okay? Now you're up in this opposite side of the groove. Now you want to see your take-up lever. So if it's hidden, turn your hand wheel counterclockwise and it will rise up for you. Now this part here is the part that students usually thread incorrectly, okay? But the end result of threading your take-up lever, your thread should be coming through the little hole in there. If you look closely at your machine, you would see a little hole there. Now, we do not thread that like this. That's wrong. You're wasting your time. You simply hook. They're illustrating that you should just move your thread from the right of the take-up lever to the back and come forward at the left side. So I'm going to do that. The right, back, left side, and that's it. You can pull a little bit to make sure it's feeling okay, just a little bit. Then I go down. It's my 6th part to thread. It's a little hook here. You go behind that. Now, some students don't think these parts here. What's the point of threading this? What does it do when you stitch? If it's built in the machine, it's built in for a reason. Thread every part, okay? Then it's a little hook you thread above your needle, and you thread your needle eye, or the hole in your needle. To make it easier, raise your needle to the highest by turning your hand wheel. See how far it goes? That's me right there. And I thread the eye. It's hard to see from a distance, but if you cannot see your eye easily, get someone who has better eyesight than you. I have 1 or 2 students that cannot thread their eyes, so we have to always have those buddies to help. Now we're ready to thread, to insert our bobbin. So we're going to open up the bobbin area. This model is a little part here. Move it to the right. I just tap my bobbin cover, and you're going to insert your bobbin. Now you have special instructions for your bobbin case thread, and if you have a built-in bobbin case, refer to your manual. For this particular model, there is a tiny hook my thread has to go through. Like right here, my needle isn't moving. It's not moving. My thread has to go there, okay? So you're going to put your thread through that little hook. Okay, excuse the glare, okay? I'm trying to use natural sunlight because in here is a very poorly lit room. So I hope you can see. Now, we're going to catch our bobbin. So I'm turning the hand wheel as I'm holding my needle thread only. And you will see up close when you thread yours that your top thread is going to pull up your bobbin thread. That's why it's called pulling up the bobbin. Makes sense, right? So as I hold my needle thread, and I have this little loop over now. That's supposed to happen. Pull that loop to the surface until you have 2 strands of thread. All right. Right away, before I move on, I like to put both of my strands in the middle of my presser foot towards the back and clip it to about 6 inches. Then you can close up your bobbin area. Now you're not quite ready to start sewing what you're going to sew yet. You're not ready because you need to test your machine. So I'm going to show you 2 tests that I did and explain what's good and bad about each one. These tests are not good. The stitching to the left, you can see, is a hot mess. Okay, now what I did intentionally, I did not thread my take-up lever. Remember that metal part that was hiding initially, and I had to kind of make it visible? I didn't thread that, and this is the result of that. Okay, that's the left. The right, you can see it looks like the thread is kind of resting on top of the fabric here. And if you touch it, you're going to feel it's bumpy. It's not a nice stitch. And actually, if I pull it, actually, you'll see how bad it is. See that? You shouldn't be seeing this if you're stitching. It shouldn't be that loosey-loosey, okay? So, these are bad. This one, I did not thread my take-up lever. This one, oh, I didn't explain this one. This one, I did not catch my bobbin properly. I did not intentionally place the thread to that little slit in my bobbin case, my built-in bobbin case. It's very similar for the bobbin cases that you actually have separate from the machine. It's very similar. If you don't even do that in that type, this happens as well. And this one, I did not thread my take-up lever, so it is messy. Look in the back of there. No take-up lever. Okay, that's an important part. Now the back of this one looks halfway normal, but the front is a no-no. Okay? Now, a nice looking test is this bad boy here. Look at that. Look how beautiful it is. This is a good test. It means that my top and bottom threads are both behaving and they're working perfectly fine. Alright, so some things to remember. You must thread every part correctly. The take-up lever is especially important, as well as your bobbin case. And you have to test, then assess your test. Don't just test and say, I tested, now I'm going to sew. You have to assess it to make sure that it's actually sewing properly. Okay? So now we practice threading your machine. You tested. You're ready to sew. Happy sewing!